Ah, young squire. Today we will be reviewing your training. Yes, Sensei, I've been practicing very hard. And very long. Tirelessly, in fact. Ah, I can tell. You look bulkier. Now, we will be testing your patience. Yes, I could stand to learn something about patience, Sensei. Ah, yes, so what do we have here? Well, we've got, fighting against two guys in the lakes. Ah, and have you noticed your error? I did, actually. I realized that I was using fire and fighting in water, and it's probably going to cost me. Ah, not as much as that bloody finger has cost himself his life. Yes, he hardly was here for 20 seconds. Vare must not be training his bloody fingers very well anymore. I assume not, although he never really did. He was always kind of relying on quantity over quality. Not here. Here, we are about the quality. Yes, Sensei, I understand. So, what did you learn from this invasion? I think, well, I definitely think that next time I fight in a lake, I'll try to use something other than fire. I feel like I probably could have had these two combatants at multiple occasions if I was just using something with a little bit, I don't know, a little more oomph to it, maybe some lightning, or even if I had just switched to a sacred sword. Yes, this is good knowledge for your next attempt. Yes, and unfortunately the other invaders weren't able to help me. You can only rely on yourself, young squire. That was the first lesson that you should have been taught. Moving on. Here we have a solo host, don't we? Yes, Sensei. And what do we do with solo hosts? We restrain ourselves. We try not to heal and drink our flasks against them. Give them a fair fight. And also challenge ourselves. Oh, but he's thrown a frost pot at you. Are you going to take that? No, I'm going to throw pots of my own and try to coax him down here. And he's going to throw things at you. He has the high ground. Yes, Sensei, I understand. I was hoping that my tactics would lure him down to fighting me one-on-one. But you've already lost so much of your health. Are you sure you can handle this? I'm gonna stay level-headed and try not to panic. And if he does defeat me here, well, there's always tomorrow to fight another day. That's a very good mentality to have, young squire. Very good. Are you learning anything from this fight? Well, yes, I think that fighting on my own terms. I think I learned that a little bit. Bring him to where I want to fight him. I don't want to fight in this hallway with my long sword spear. I seem to bump on the walls. You sure I can't drink my flasks? I mean, this would be a really good... No, restrain yourself, young squire. That's how you get better. Okay, Sensei, I will. He switched to a shield. Yes, you are throwing out a lot of those running attacks. Very easy to telegraph. Yes, I'm gonna mix it up a bit. Let's give him a side swipe. Oh, he's almost got me here. Careful not to panic, young squire. Stay calm. Stay calm. Level-headed. Very nice. Very good. I appreciate your restraint. Thank you, Sensei. Moving on. Now let us see how you handle the long-range projectile attacks. Our target is about 200 yards away. How high do you need to aim above their head in order to land a hit on them? I zeroed in after my first shot, and I couldn't tell if the second one landed, but it did seem like they got closer to the cliff edge. Ah, and then you landed the third shot. Very well done indeed, young squire. Moving on. Stealth. is very important tactic for invaders. Show me what you can do. Yes, Sensei. So I've asked these two to give me a moment to hide, and I'm going to take the opportunity to evade their pursuit. I'm going to sneak off into a bush over here, and once I've broken line of sight, I'm going to activate my concealing veil so that I can disappear from their view, and hope that the phantom will approach the bush where I was, throwing out magic attacks. But I won't be there. Ha ha ha, right, Sensei? Yes, very good indeed. I like this, what I'm seeing from you, young squire. You shall be a sentinel in no time. Thank you, Sensei. I am honored by your words. And now what have we here? Why, I managed to sneak up on the two of them while they were standing near the site of grace. Excellently done, young squire. Moving on. Ah, yes. Tell me of your training at St. Riot's dojo. Did Sensei Riot teach you anything new? Yes, Sensei. He taught me the forbidden art, turn and burn. And I've been able to employ this new technique while facing off against combatants. Very good, very good. Anything else that you learned? Well, we did practice my throwing arm a bit. Very nice shot there. Wow, you managed to land it perfectly on top of the host and his friends. I'm very impressed. Your training with Sensei Riot has gone very well. Yes, Sensei. I also enjoyed Sensei Riot's sense of humor and his constructive criticism. Yes, very good, very good. Well spent runes, I must say. Could not have taught you everything, you know. I understand, Sensei. Very good, very good. And now I see you're trying to bait the party to fight you on your own terms. Is that correct? That's correct, Sensei. I know that I have friends here that I could rely on, and I'm not too proud to admit that taking on 3 people is difficult for me sometimes. Ah, as it is for all of us. Some just make it look easier than it may actually be. Yes, Sensei, I appreciate your wisdom. And it seems that the host got a little bit ahead of themselves. They did, Sensei. I was very proud of this moment. Thank you. Moving on. We have much to cover. Tell me more of your training with Sensei Okina in the Giant's mountaintops. He was very impressed with your ability to parry his blows. Yes, Sensei, I did take a couple of cuts training with Sensei Okina. He's very aggressive with his blades, but I was very proud of the fact that I was able to parry his blows on multiple occasions. I set you there with the challenge of reaching 10 consecutive parries, or at least 10 parries without needing to rest. Were you able to do so? Well, I think so. I think I stopped keeping track at a certain point. I got quite a few parries landed on him, and actually, Sensei Okina was the one who said that maybe we should stop for the day before I got too exhausted. I mentioned he did cut me several times. I was able to tend to my wounds. Oh, wow! Was that very close to being faint on your behalf? And you still stood your ground, I hear. I did, Sensei. I was proud of that moment. I was winded for sure, but I was able to keep my shield up and predict his attacks. He did not make it easy for me. He never really threw out the same attack more than once. He would vary his blows. I can understand why many try to emulate his sword skill, although I've never found a combatant who wields his weapon as gracefully as him. Ah yes. Sensei Okina and I go way back. He's one of the good ones, I must say. Vare knew what he was doing when he scouted his talents. Yes, Sensei, I would very much agree. happy to have learned so much from such a wise master. Moving on! Let's see how you put your new skills to the test. Yes, Sensei. So here we have 2 combatants. One seems to have fallen back a bit, which created some space for me to take an opportunity to aggress the host. I switched over to my Sacred Blade, and I was able to move through his defenses. Ah, very well. Oh, and a parry, I see. Very nice. Very nice indeed. I'm happy to see that. Moving on. Yes, Sensei. So here, I realize that when your footing is uneven, it's difficult to land a critical strike, even after knocking the combatant's shield away. I'll have to keep this in mind for next time. Ah, yes, at least you learned something. And then the Moonveil user here, very predictable. Sensei Riot said no respect for these katana dudes. So I was able to parry his blows as well. Ah, yes, very good, very good. Moving on. Yes, Sensei. This was a hard-fought fight against a wizard, spamming magical attacks at me, as well as his moonbeam sword. But I was able to deflect his blows, and even send some of my own magic retaliation his way. Ah, yes, and then what? Parried him, Sensei. The wizard got parried, and well, quite honestly, I relished sticking my soul spear through their chest. Ha ha ha, don't get too bloodthirsty now, young squire. There's still a host to deal with. I understand, Sensei. I kept my composure, and I eliminated the target swiftly. Very good. Very good indeed, young squire. Moving on. What did you learn from this one? Well, divide and conquer was an old strategy that I learned before my training. If I can separate the party, it might make things more advantageous for me as a combatant. I also learned that wizards, they never level their vigor for some reason, meaning that this was a very easy kill on this poor mage who had less than 500 hit points for some reason. Oh, you don't see that every day. Most people start with that many hit points. He must not have put any levels of vigor in at all. Yes, Sensei, I thought the same thing. And for the host, well, I noticed that they did pull out a shield, and they were trying to parry my blows. Fortunately, it appears that they had no training with Sensei Okina before attempting this very technical maneuver, and I was able to overcome their attempts and still land my blows. I didn't land the killing blow, but I was okay with that. Watch out! You'll get hit by that boss, you know. Yes, I understand, Sensei. I'll save that in my memory for later. Moving on! Let us see how you handle this next invasion. Yes, Sensei. I'm gonna try to parry this Reduvia spam. He's swinging his daggers wildly, as if he was a crazed person, but I was able to retaliate with my parry. I smacked around the host quite a bit. Ah, but there is a hunter here, and what is the rule when we have hunters join the invasion? The hunters must die, Sensei. Yes, I appreciate your restraint in dealing that critical blow to the host in order to have honorable combat with the dishonorable blues. Yes, Sensei. It took a lot for me to not stab that host directly through his sternum, but I remembered my training, and I said that the hunters must die before the hosts so that they can be sent back to their own realm. Yes, very good, very good. And we have no respect for these blues, is that correct? Yes, Sensei. Another thing that I have learned from Sensei Riot. No respect for these blues. They must all perish. And without style even. We often neglect the need for style points when eliminating the blues. Ah, yes. So now what is going to happen to our host? Well, I did notice that they like to put up their shield, so I was hoping to land a critical blow. Okay, let us see how you fare. Here it goes. Yes, very nice, young squire. I'm very, very impressed with your training. Again, I think that you shall be a true tree sentinel quite soon, quite soon. Thank you, Sensei. Can I go home now? You may, but you do have to film an outro before leaving the dojo. Yes, Sensei, I can do that. Greetings, gamers. It is I, Sentinel Squire. Here are some numbers. I have very high faith, not only in myself, but also in the tree, the golden tree of order, the Erd tree. I'm not quite equipped enough to wield the entire tree sentinel armor set, but I am working on bulking up. Here you can see some of the weapons that I like to use to administer my punishment and righteous justice. I have been Sentinel Squire, and I appreciate your tutelage with this documentary of my training. I have been and always will be Kubes. Peace and love, gamers.